New York Times the other day, Michelle Goldberg's column, she titles her column, "We're All Casualties of Trump's War on Science." This is the part that is so horrifying to me. I mean, on top of the three things I just told you about, my concerns, and I think a lot of people, is this realization that Trump and the bums and thugs and ignoramuses around him, they don't have any respect for science. I listened to Rand Paul the other day during his testimony when he was challenging Anthony Fauci about, what is Rand Paul, a dentist? Nothing against dentists, but Jesus fucking Christ, Rand Paul, shut up. Go read Atlas Shrugged again or something. But challenging Anthony Fauci about the susceptibility of children to this disease. You know, Rand Paul's position, well, kids don't get this as severely or as frequently or as they're not dying at the rate of adults are dying, so let's open up the schools again. Stupid fucker. I mean, what kind of brain density is that? Okay, open up the schools. Well, there'll be a certain casualty figure, but just like war, right? When you're attacking the enemy, you're going to make an estimate. The generals will, you know, how many men are we going to lose and how many is sustainable? And blah, blah, blah. This is what Rand Paul and what Donald Trump are saying. Yeah, there's going to be some people die, but, you know, that's just the price of doing business in this fucked up capitalist country of ours. People are going to die. People die all the time. Yeah, they do. They do, don't they? But they don't die of this coronavirus unless they are exposed to it and unless their immune systems can't fight it. So Rand Paul is challenging Fauci, but yeah, open up the schools. What does he use? Shit for brains, Rand Paul. So the kid picks it up, and the kid's going to be okay. But he brings it home to mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and they die. Oh, price of doing business in capitalist America in the year of our Lord 2020, right? Now, I go back to what happened to us, Kathy, Molly, and me, back in January of this year, just after New Year's, when Molly got sick. And then Kathy got sick, and then I got sick. And all three of us were diagnosed with the flu. Coronavirus. Remember, coronavirus is a descriptive term of the configuration of the virus, corona. The novel coronavirus, which is attacking everybody and killing tens of thousands of us, is described as novel, new coronavirus. They don't have a label for it yet. So they call it COVID-19. I don't know what that means, but that's the label, COVID-19. Molly was sick for 3 days with the flu, spiking fever that wouldn't leave her alone. Spike up, go down, spike up, go down, spike up, go down. A whole bunch of symptoms that are not atypical of coronavirus, but also are similar to flu. Then Kathy got it. Molly had it for 3 days, then went back to school. Because the rule in our school system, you have to go 24 hours without a fever and you can go back to school. So I guess on the 4th day, maybe the 5th, she went back to school. Kathy got it. She had it for 5 days. Couldn't get off the couch. Temperature spike up, spike down, no appetite. Yada, yada, yada. Hard to breathe, dry cough. Then I got it. Woo! Now, Molly and I had our flu shots. Kathy hadn't. I haven't had flu since I worked in Chicago. Good 20 years ago. Molly has never had flu. But her pediatrician gave her a quick nose swab and said, yeah, well, type A influenza, which means coronavirus. I don't know if there are specific viral characteristics to flu, a coronavirus, as opposed to other types of flu. I don't know. What do I know? But that's what Molly's pediatrician said. Kathy didn't go to a doctor, but after 5 or 6 days, she was able to get up and around and recovered. And like I said, then it hit me, and it knocked the shit out of me, I'll have to tell you. I was in bed, essentially, for 2 weeks. I think Bob Kincaid filled in for me a couple of times. That's when Kathy was doing the show. I was just sick as a dog, so the expression goes, and had probably some of the highest fever I've had since I was a kid. Now, nobody knew anything about coronavirus then. No, COVID-19. We didn't know about it the first week in January. There was something going on in China, but we didn't know. Nothing to worry about. So I just stayed in bed. Tried to eat soup. Not very successful at it. Tried to drink Gatorade, drink lots of water, and watch lots of television. And get scared, frankly, when my fever would go up to 102.9, and I'm like, oh, shit. So finally I went to a clinic, Emory Primary Care Clinic, and I took a swab and came back in the room and said, well, you don't have flu. Okay. So they gave me a Z-Pack and said, just to take. You have some sort of viral infection. The Z-Pack won't fight it, but it may prevent a secondary infection. So because of your age, take the Z-Pack. Okay. So they also gave me a shot of, cortisone, because I was having a hell of a time breathing, Very difficult to get air in and out. So they gave me the cortisone shot. Or prednisone, one of the two, it doesn't matter. So I went home. And, of course, with those cortisone shots, you immediately feel better because all of a sudden you can breathe. But I went home, and over the next 3 or 4 days, nothing was going away. And it was getting harder to breathe again, and the fevers were spiking. Holy shit. So I went to a second Emory University primary care clinic. And this time they took the nose swab, and they left down the hall to test it real quick. When they came back in, they were masked and gloved, and the doctor said, yep, you have type A influenza. Okay, that's what I do now. So I asked for another cortisone shot and got it. And she said, well, just, go home and drink lots of fluids, stay in bed, chicken soup, take it easy. I said, okay. So I went home and was sick for about another, week. I didn't want to go back a third time. And gradually, eventually, it went away. Now, what I can't get for me or for Molly is a antibody test. And I realize that an antibody test, if it comes positive, you do have antibodies, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are now exempt from further exposure to this novel coronavirus. I understand that. It's just like flu. That's why we get flu shots every year, right? Because the flu will mutate. Now, this COVID-19 doesn't seem to have that mutatable property that flu virus has. Not yet, anyway. Or they think. The scientists think. It's not quickly mutatable like normal coronavirus, like flu virus, is. Now, I'm talking about shit. I'm way over my head, so, if you're a physician or medical person, please have a little mercy here. I'm just trying to fight my way through this. But that's why we get flu shots every year, because you get a flu shot this year, okay, you're safe. But the virus will mutate just a little bit. If you don't get another flu shot, based on guesswork by the epidemiologists about what's going to rage through the population this time, if you don't get the shot the next year, you're subject to getting flu again. Okay, so your immunities are good for 6-7 months, my understanding. 6 or 7 months with a flu vaccination. And apparently same thing with this novel coronavirus. You have maybe 6 months of immunity. Now, the reason I say that is because I am in one of the high-risk groups, and that is I'm old. Now, I don't have underlying conditions that I or my primary care physician has ever discovered in 20 years of going to him. So I don't have that underlying stuff like diabetes or heart disease or this or that or cancer or whatever. So the only huge risk factor I had was my age. And I read about all these people in the nursing homes who are just dying by the scores. Old people, whether they're just old people in a nursing home or retirement place, or if they're veterans who are in a veterans home. Jesus Christ, at one of Paramus, New Jersey, 72 people in this veterans retirement, whatever it was, dead. It's astonishing. But what's involved here is the science. And the science at this point says to me, says to you, says to everybody, even the dickless freaks out there with their big fucking guns. The science is saying, we don't give a shit who you are. We don't care what kind of games you play with your fucking guns or your political horse crap. Here's the deal. You get exposed to this, you run a risk of dying. And if you're not dead, you run the risk of passing it on to God knows how many more people who might die. So, here's what science says. Stay the fuck away from other people. Cover your face. Wear a mask. Don't get in crowds. Wash your hands 6 feet or more. Very simple. Or run the risk of dying or making other people die. So what are you going to do, Mr. Big Gun Dickless American? What are you going to do, Miss harried housewife who just can't stand the fact that you can't go to the mall? I'm not picking on you. You know what I'm saying. You know exactly what I'm saying. All these crazy son of a bitches who are out there demonstrating in front of state capitals like, we want this, we want it open, we want things open. You crazy fuckers? Are you that suicidal? Can't you do it a little more neatly? Can't you just go get a gun and blow your brains out? That way you won't kill anybody else. It's incredible. What is it in this country that makes us think that the science doesn't apply to us? I'm talking about all of us. What the fuck is it? What is it? Is that American exceptionalism? Oh, well, we don't get sick. The fuck we don't. And we're, 17th in terms of life expectancy among the so-called industrialized countries or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called. So the science says, fuck Trump. Fuck this rancid orange bastard. To hell with him. The science says, stay away from other people. Wear a mask. Wear gloves, wash your hands, use sanitizer. Take care of yourself. And in taking care of yourself, you're taking care of other people. Taking care of other people? Why, that's goddamn socialism. That's what's going on out here. I read a thing in the New York Times the other day about the mayor of some small town in Arizona, I don't know, someplace out west. And he's watching his town of 30,000 people go right down the fucking tubes. Not so much from coronavirus, but from the statewide lockdown. And the fact that the bottom has fallen out of the carbon industry, which a lot of people in his town worked in the carbon, worked in a fracking area or an oil patch or natural gas. And since those destructive carbon products have no value right now because nobody's going anywhere, this town, like thousands of towns, is sinking into oblivion. So what this mayor is demanding is that the state open up and businesses open up. But all he has to do is say to the people in this town who own a business, open the fucking business. But here's the thing. They're not opening their businesses because they know nobody's going to come, because people are not going to take the risk. A lot of people, even in rural small town America, they're not going to do it. But somehow that's the liberals' fault. That's exactly what he said in this interview in the New York Times. He said, this is a liberal thing. I've watched this country drift towards socialism, and now here it is. What the fuck are they talking about? I'll tell you what they're talking about. They're talking about their own ignorance and their fear. The fear is understandable. I'm scared to death. But the ignorance is not pardonable. It is not.
Hi, Truth Seekers. Kathy Malloy here. During this global crisis, take care of yourselves and your family. Maybe catch up on your Malloy cast. We are 100% Truth Seeker supported, as you know, and over the last year, we've become a lean, mean, two-person broadcasting machine. We've tightened our belts so Mike can keep screaming into the night because we are committed to this fight. We won't surrender the airwaves or our country to the flying monkey fascists as long as you're joining us around the campfire. And by that, I mean supporting this program by funding Resistance Radio on Patreon. Any amount helps keep it lit and keep the lights on in the Malloy home studio. Patron supporters will have exclusive access to a special patron-only weekly broadcast, which will likely include me and possibly Molly. We also have some nice thank you gifts like an exclusive patron Truth Seeker t-shirt. Visit MikeMalloy.com and click on the big patron link on the main page. You can't miss it, and we can't do it without you.